friends, welcome back to our house. If you look around, you'll see some of the chaos that has accumulated here in these days of doing everything from school to play to even having church at home. As we enter Holy Week, some of the things that I'm starting to miss is the physical presence of being at church and with our church family, and I'm really starting to miss some of those traditions. But the diocese has done a really cool job of putting together this thing called Holy Week at Home. And you can download the packet, read it online if you just go to diocgc.org, and all of it's online there. But I thought I would show y'all a little bit of what we're gonna try to do at our house. Within that document is some really beautiful language that I'd like to share with y'all. And it says, one of the first things it asks us to do is to prepare a sacred space. And I've never really been one for having sort of an altar in our house, but for this particular time when we can't go to our sacred spaces, I think it's appropriate to give it a shot. So here's what it says. It says, as Christians, we meet Christ in the unfolding of our lives. In Holy Week, we hear the gospel proclaimed, indwell God's story, unite with Christ, and retrace Jesus' last steps on earth. Commemorating Holy Week by setting aside time to pray is a way of redeeming and sanctifying time, recognizing it as a gift from the Lord and presenting it back to the Lord as an offering of praise and prayer. Setting aside space in your home for praying is consecrating a physical space of your life to spend time with God, a holy place recognized as a gift from God and offered up to God in thanksgiving. Since we are physical and spiritual beings, what we experience through the senses reveals God's presence. Incorporating symbols from the liturgies of Holy Week provide one way to recognize and reflect on God's presence with us. And that just hit home for me as something I need to do during this particular very challenging and sort of anxious season. I want to celebrate Holy Week at home, and I do need to be intentional in setting that apart. Small problem though, sort of every inch of our house is being used as school or playing or something else, or any big space that could be like an altar of sorts. So our altar is just gonna be in the middle of our living room, right here on our fireplace. This is a room where we spend the most time, but so it's not always a quiet space, but it is a space where I hope we learn to feel God's presence together. So this is how we're gonna do it. I have two younger children, a particularly rambunctious 2-year-old. So almost everything I'm gonna put out at our home altar is going to be toddler proof or close to toddler proof, I hope. My hope is that we will add different items as we go through the week, but it's all things that my kids can come up and interact with, because the sacred space is sacred for them too, and God is calling them and speaking to them and inviting them in just as much as God does for adults. So anyway, I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of what we're gonna try to do here at the Johnson household. Let's see. So the first thing we did was we picked a spot that had plenty of surface space, and the liturgical color for Holy Week is red. So I looked high and low in my house for some kind of red tablecloth or red runner or something. Turns out I own nothing like that. But what I did find was leftover from Will's birthday party that, anyway, it ended up having to be canceled because he got strep throat, but I had some red plastic paper stuff. So we rolled that out to cover up our fireplace, and it's serving as sort of our altar hanging. So there's our red, and I'll explain to the kids why red is a color of Holy Week. The first thing that's going out on my altar is a candle. So just like in church, when it's time for the service to start and we enter that prayerful space, when the candle's lit, then we're setting aside time to be spiritually present in this space. So that's the first thing that's going to go up. Also, it's a lavender scented candle, so I'm hoping that the kids will associate that smell of lavender with this time of home worship together. So right there. I'm not putting the matches or lighter anywhere near this because I don't want my kids playing with it, but I'll pull it out when it's time to do that. The next object is some greenery for Palm Sunday. Up on the top, if you remember the video I did the other day about decorating, there's lots of greenery out there, but it's not really part of our altar. So I got a little thing of green from our magnolia tree outside, and that's going to serve as our greenery. Now, what can I do with the vase? Oh, here's a little vase to put it in that's some pretty thick glass I don't think the kids can break. So here's my green for Palm Sunday. All right. And then the next thing is on Maundy Thursday, we'll do foot washing at the house. So I have a bowl, a towel, and a pitcher that we'll use for foot washing. We'll add water to it on Thursday. I'll put that here. On Good Friday, we're going to do some meditations, and we'll see how meditating goes with a 2- and 7-year-old. But we'll do some family group thinking together and praying together. And so you're going to want a cross or some kind of icon to focus on. The first one I picked was this cross. It actually was part of our wedding. It was at the reception somewhere, and we always hang it on our door at Easter, and I try to put some flowers in there. But I thought as a symbol of Good Friday, without anything in it, might be a good symbol there. So I'll put it up here. Ooh, see if I'll stand. All right. But you might want something smaller. So I have these smaller crosses like this that folks actually gave us during Curcio. So that's a good reminder to put those out around. And then the next thing is for the Easter Vigil, you're going to want 2 candles to light. I didn't have 2 more candles that I felt were unbreakable to my kids. They all had glass or something on them, and I didn't have like candle holders that would work. But I did find this thing in the attic. So it's got a lot of candles, but it'll work. So I'll put it up here. Who knows, we might even get creative with lighting those candles some other times. The next thing, it asks for bells to ring on Easter Sunday, just like we do at church. Not sure why, but I had a whole thing of Christmas bells here. I think what we'll do is on Easter morning, I'll get out some ribbon or brightly colored pipe cleaner, and I'll let the kids make bells that will ring on Easter Sunday. So we'll put those back here for Easter Sunday. And then an important thing that you're going to want for your altar is prayer book and a Bible. This is my kids' favorite. They love the Jesus Storybook Bible, but they also love any other kind of kids' Bible. So I thought I wanted to have something like that there. I also love this book, Common Prayer for Children and Families. So these are some of the resources we'll be using throughout the week in addition to Holy Week at home. So put those out here. One other thing, because Holy Week at home was available online, I'm going to put my iPad up here. That's something I'll be using. And the last thing And this is just sort of a fun thing to follow along. All week, I'll be sharing in our little videos for Sunday school the Easter story egg. And so each day we're going to open up, they're like nesting eggs, and each one has a special picture and a special story. So we'll be doing that and adding those to our altar as the week goes on. So we'll have those up there. Some other ideas that you might want to put up, you might want to put flowers up there. You might want, if you've got prayer beads or anything that you could use like that to keep your hands busy and keep you focused during prayer, those are helpful. I've seen a lot of people do really cool things with having like jars with like a daily activity, whether it's a spiritual activity or something to do together as a family or something to pray about, to have like a jar or a bowl with little strips of paper with that written in there. Another thing you can do is leave paper and pencils or crayons or whatever in a little bowl, and your family can put the things they want to pray about or the things they want to do in that bowl. That's a really cool thing that you can do as well. And let's see, I think that's about it. But this will be our family altar, and I hope that this was helpful to you. And again, check out the resources for Holy Week at Home at diocgc.org. Some really cool things that are in there is it actually has liturgies for Palm Sunday, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter. And it's all things that any layperson can do, and you can do them right there with your family. If you want, you can Zoom in with other people or FaceTime or any way that you want to do that. It's all things that you can get creative with. So anyway, thank y'all for watching, and I look forward to talking to y'all more throughout the rest of Holy Week. Bye.